What's going on, guys? It's Brad here with American Wilderness. Today we are out here in the beautiful Hoosier National Forest in Indiana, and we found some horsehoof mushroom. This grows on trees, dead or alive. I've actually dried a little bit out just by laying it by the fire for a while, and I want to show you a cool trick you can do with this stuff. So this one's dried out, this one's not dry yet, I'm still drying it. But if you saw into it, and this is the underside where the gills would be on a standard mushroom, I'm just sawing it up and making a bunch of dust here. Alright, now that I've got a little bit of dust, I'm going to scoop it all up into one pile here. And I'm actually going to get just a little bit more, just because I have it. So I've got a good little pile right there. And now you can use flint and steel, or a magnifying glass, but I'm going to go ahead and use a ferro rod. And I'm just going to go ahead and strike this. Alright, so I've got a little bit of an ember in here, and if you can see, it almost looks like a pile of dust from a bow drill fire. Obviously it's a little bit lighter. A pile of dust from a bow drill would be just about black. But now I'm just gonna go ahead and let this sit, maybe fan it a little bit, but it's smoldering in there. It's a little bit hard to see, but it is. And just like a bow drill fire, you're gonna let it kind of sit and let it grow into a bigger ember. And once it's big enough, I'm gonna go ahead and scoop it up on my knife and dump it into a tinder pile. So I've got some tinder in my pocket I've been gathering throughout the day. A little bit of river birch bark and grass, but this stuff is dry, and this really works well with bundles like this. I always use this stuff for bow drills. So I'm just gonna keep this on standby over here, and we'll let this grow a little bit more. All right, you can see this ember is really starting to expand here. And this is probably just about big enough to dump onto my bundle, but I'm gonna go ahead and scoop a little bit of the dust up on top of that ember. Heat rises and it'll spread a little bit faster that way. Just give it a few more seconds. Just wanna make sure my bundle's all prepared. This bark falls apart pretty easily. It doesn't stay together as easy as grass does. I think I should be fine. I'm gonna go ahead and scoop this up now. Try to not lose this all. Carefully dump it into the tinder bundle. Now I'm just gonna give it a little bit of oxygen. Trying to not lose this. I think I lost my bundle there. You can see it's all like charred here. This bark is charring. I think I'm gonna go collect a little bit of grass. I think this will work a little bit better with grass. This bark is just falling apart. It doesn't really weave together and create as good of a bird's nest. All right, so I just scouted around for a little bit and I found some more tinder that I think is gonna work a lot better than the stuff I had originally. A couple different types of grasses here. This one was more of a weed, but it's all dry, and there's actually a lake near us, and there's constant wind coming off that lake, so I think it's kind of just making everything along the shore bone dry. I have a feeling this is gonna work really well. And the nice thing about doing or making a fire with an ember is you're able to stick the ember in there, and the material doesn't have to be bone dry. It just has to be kind of mostly dry, because as you blow this, the ember will slowly start to dry out your material. So this is a good option if your material is a little bit damp, because a ferro rod wouldn't necessarily strike it as easy. So I think I've got enough left on this piece of horse hoof. That looks pretty good to me. We'll go ahead and strike it. I think I lit it on the first one, but it's not really in a good spot. There. You can see I've got a couple spots lit in the middle here. So I'll just let that smolder a little bit, just like before. Let that grow into a bigger ember, and we'll be able to work with it. All right, you can see this ember here has really started to expand, which is good. I think it's big enough to work with. I'm gonna get my tinder bundle on standby here. Make sure it's into a bit of a bird's nest fashion. Now I'm just gonna carefully scoop this ember up onto my knife. You can see it really smoldering there. Don't wanna lose my knife. All right, so this should blow into flame pretty quickly. It's good sometimes just to raise it up and give it a little bit of wind. And now you're gonna want to turn that in on itself, and then that's when you would add your kindling or any of that, the small wood, onto your fire. But that lit up pretty easy. Grass has always been one of my favorite things to work with, because it holds its shape really well when you put it into a bird's nest. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that. We just kind of stumbled across some of this in the forest today. This is a tree fungus, or a horseshoe or horse hoof mushroom. People call it a lot of different things, and to be honest, I don't really even know what it's called. I use this though here and there, and it works pretty well. So thanks guys for watching. Maybe you can try it yourself and let me know what the results are. All right, so the way that we made fire with this is by cutting it up into dust and getting an ember in there, kind of similar to a bow drill. Something else I've never done, which also works, is if you dry this out, I guess you have to have a fire going already, but if you touch this to your fire, it'll catch an ember. So this is probably a good way to transport fire. I mean, you can really see the ember in there, and over here as well. But this definitely would be a good way to transport fire. So just want to leave you guys with that, and thanks for watching. Quick tip.